abo kubona hereza umushoro obonaho umushara wawe ugora kutunga mano tubona ko business community nayo mugihereze first priority nayo tungeze business community twine sako yitu kuyaturuka agarene kwane kurangurana abesende zo mushubuzi ezari kubasa kubona yakora tukura shares tukwa umuntu agura shares atogambira twako miliyoni kabisha tungaga kurote mutaventwenda miliyoni rukaka mukazitereza chikagiza kuyamu kone millions haraka national way ariko musago y'abashubuzi konga twine bizubu business community tubakwenda supporting ntana business community nayo bajibona mukategurize nkezi yindi abo kama mwesi imbere yebishani byanye mbamba miryango yacu ya business community wendi mashawa kugira ngo abantu bona baryatwena buri muntu wera bamuhereze extini sa ba mwesi imbere n'umutwenda karuru nita public service yanyu bahereze okima no organize ingada iki civil servants ito business community itakora mu rwanda ahandi mwabare kumpurikiza na amazina ganye n'ijyaranga ko system kwakana kandi cya person business abwara kunje district ni basima munonga abadayisa abantu bona minister ni kureba abateretera abantu twine na associations za business community abantu bona so lebye mugambo byanje ebinanyenda kubagamba mwana umukora mukuru mutkonsideringe ka business community abakandira karya umukansozi nyana kubagambira za part zona zero disabilities when nyenda honorable minister honorable Milias kaka no no sharo kuchimango to mushubuzi kandi nyenda nk'abantu iraka ndo baturire ekindakira argaha nichibanje raftinga business community nimbashaka ka business community nito tukunda kuhereza kwa president Museveni ebiyakora irihanga tutambraje when twenda ndite batukonsideringe kabandi ahandi sangu mwebare munonga mwebare kumpurikiza mwebare
abantu mwero mbitirisa byane mwebese Manuel ko mazina ganje ni jekera kumutambu council aha district council kandi ija kubuza hamyoga ninga kugamba hamyoga insima government abwe myoga yakire esenteze myoga ziyakire mu ruyare insima mulongo hati myaka yarenge ebiri konga ekindi kwenda kubuzaho tukaronda abakugukira mu bushubuzi ngwe mukanye nyoni yo kibina cya produce dealers emyoga sako rujumbura hata abashubuzi ba produce dealers emyoga sako twaherezwa miliyoni hati yo miliyoni 50 konga miliyoni 50 tujya abantu abarengire rukumi kuturi kuzakuzika abana bati kugira ngo umuntu ayikuza sente oronda produce y'uwagura hati ekibina usanga kurumbera nk'abantu 30 ubwo abantu 30 einene hebwa miliyoni 2 hati miliyoni 2 kuzigabira abantu 30 ngo riyo no kugukira mu produce turonde ebyo kugura bimu turonde turazuze zituremesa na bejo nanisha bangu government ubu barozira bako batu bagome barambure barebe aho tukugukire batwongere sente at least nka buri member ko kumwakwasira umuntu owito wagutosha katunga miliyoni 1 hato wagukire hashira tantire ku miliyoni 10 ningi 5 na wagira kinde kiyaza gukora konga kwata miliyoni 2 tukazereza group y'abantu 20 bakugukira mu mwuga ruyare. It is a big challenge. Lastly, it is about management issues. Tukakwata emyoga twagiteka aharurengo rwa county ishaza ryo hati offices in hosiri kwasiri so trip down chipo abantu batraforinga longer distances then bachiza kuronda ejemitwaro miliyoni 2 zinagamba abantu 20 biza wakuyoka transport nachi so nizibas decentralized nabyo bikatebwa ahanguruka ninga aharurengo rwa village then akasento mutana agenda akaza mu system improve kakagenda director wo kwa iromane yeye business zikatangira munonga mwe
webare katikozeseho ubwire buce kwenda abaryaha babe ngo babuza
twasiga feresta owachikarara nyaka tembe chikara bwamba ninaka shashu kushangangu ninye nasho wiza chipina cha MK movement Opshole za mesete za njenya mwinji Aka chipina cha njechikanga kuka ninaka shashu ninye nangu mungaruke Okushangangu ndashoza ubina ryanje ry'emiringo eshatu azamkaza kuri sete imwe nga gavumenti enkuru ninyenda gavumenti eza esitama ndebe yayo kandi ekibina kya MK na FDC hamwe na baba wayo bona ninye nabishobwiza kandi ninyenda ekibina ryanje bisanjika omulimo gwakyo naye ninakashasha kandi muri kikara ninakashasha ninyenda ekibina kyanje kya MK kitandika kikora omulimo gwakyo mureke kukinyika kandi mukakibonaboneza ninye nkishwekire nk'omukyala webale nimbasiira
amazina ni Hakungacho Kalisa
Katulizane
Hakungacho Kalisa Ugabamba ikibuzo cyane genda itonke minyeto omumyoga muratubara n'ingati muratubara abo kuba ninja wese myaka 18 nwawe wakura konka wanditse kibina tute muri keminyeto barabatwara mukabarenda toroka kandi muramurenda kwekorakora so ni eminyeto considering.
Thank you. Webare. Last question, Ahabioga.
Jamugisha Central izina ryanje Leya Kabare Municipality. Nije habintu kabibiri. Minister yagamba wasike sente zira zo mu banka eza agriculture road. Oka mostly banks ezi sente zirakira kuzishereka ahabo kugira ngo zine interest dinche. Anone zindi sente zije za block. Kora zo mu bank korera agriculture road bakujya ku government takazohereza. Esente za block muraza kuzigambaho kokati n'abantu kakabare tinde hame ngo ari umuto wakwasira sente za block. So mwatange sente mu banka mwatutaho kugira ngo meya ayete manager wa bank sebo minister ine capacity yo kweta manager wa banka abo kubananye umwe ndanda road zeho bagira ki bakinyima kuko sente za agriculture road esete za block banks zirazishereka zirena kuzibanza zatayo road zazazo so kutuyamba sente za agriculture road umwe sente za block wewe
Honorable Minister, Honorable Minister, they are talking about the agriculture money and growth money which is sent in the banks, and people have not accessed that money, especially grow. When you go to the banks, the money is not there. So, you can respond to the questions. Thank you so much.
Some defaulters are government officials. Other DCs you have had. And the party to defaulters or government officials must double. We want this money recovered, and we are very serious. Business committee, yeah, the money, we emphasize this. And I want to guide that yes, there are so many avenues. There's a PTM, this business committee don't go for PTM money. There's a Myoga, don't go for that money.
Why do we think that they want the ability to illegally stop payments that are legally due to hospitals that may be providing women's health care services they don't support, to veterans agencies that are helping our veterans, to Social Security recipients who may be marched at a rally and said something they didn't like? Why are they doing this? Why did they allow a bunch of, let's be honest, practically children, teenagers, young 20-somethings, why did they allow them to go into systems that control trillions of dollars of treasury payments that every one of our adversaries would deeply like to hack into? Because if they could hack into there, they could destroy the U.S. economy. Why did they allow these children to go in there with unsecured software and hardware and tamper with those systems? Why did they do that at the same time that they were firing FBI agents, firing CIA agents? What is the consequence of that? If we close this barn door today, how much is already burned out? We don't know the answers to those questions. I wish we didn't have to ask. But those are the stakes of this moment. And there's an even larger question, as our leader alluded to. Why is the Department of Justice not enforcing the law of prosecuting these crimes right now? Why do we not have Republicans who all took the same oath we did a couple weeks ago to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic? Why are they standing there doing nothing? I know every one of us was elected to lead. None of us went out in the elections and said, if you elect me, I will promise to cower before the first bully who shows up. That's what we're here to do, to lead. This legislation is an important first step. We're not going to stand idly by, and this legislation will become law. All we need is 3 Republicans to show a little bit of patriotism to join us in this effort. I know they're out there. I know they've got the patriotism. They just got to show the courage. That's where we are right now. Thank you so much. I should mention that our office has received more phone calls on this topic than anything in my 6 years of office. And I say that only because if I leave here early, it's only because we called a telephone town hall that's starting in about 30 minutes, and I have to be talking to people because they are all definitely concerned about what this means for them for all the reasons I articulated. Hopefully I'll be able to stick around for questions. In the meantime, turn it back to wonderful
Thank you so much, and thank you, Congressman Caston and Congresswoman Stevens, for bringing us the Taxpayer Data Protection Act, because this is going to address the deep anxiety across the country about Elon Musk hacking into Americans' most personal information and the illegal cutting of federal funding for critical services. Last week, I received a note from a public school teacher in my district. She was very concerned about what's going to happen to education and federal funding for her school. She worried about the grants that might not be there that help provide special education services in her school and across this country. She worried about the school lunches not being available for her students that need them. But the thing she told me she was worried about more than anything else, she wrote, as a citizen of the nation, I am even more concerned about the overt power grab and overreach we're seeing from an unelected billionaire. I've heard the same thing from Head Start caregivers, from veterans and firefighters, from nurses and doctors at our community health centers, from seniors watching Elon infiltrate their Social Security and Medicare information, calling our office terrified, wondering if they're going to get their next Social Security check. The American people are paying attention. They have watched Republicans not just stand in silence, but cheer on the illegal actions that are going to make their lives harder, more expensive, and compromise the security of their personal information, all the while enriching further Elon Musk. Democrats are fighting back with everything we've got, and we will use every tool at our disposal to protect the interests of the American people, to uphold the Constitution, and guard everyday families from this Republican billionaire's first agenda. Elon can buy a lot. He's the richest man in the world. But the American people and their security is not for sale. If House Republicans believe that the federal government belongs to the people, that the theft of taxpayer money is wrong, then they will join us in bringing this legislation up for a vote. In the House, it takes 3 patriots to speak out for their constituents and to stand up for their country, to stop stealing from the deserving, to further enrich the billionaire class. 3 GOP members can end this today. And now I'll turn it over to our distinguished chairman of the House, Pete Aguilar.
Thank you, Whip Clark and Leader Jeffries, and I want to thank the leadership of Haley Stevens and Sean Caston for introducing this bill, because House Democrats will not sit by as an unelected billionaire with controversial ties to China is getting sensitive personal data about the American people, and to potentially use that data to illegally cut programs that are vital to our national security just to help pay for tax cuts to benefit his own bottom line. We will not stay silent as House Republicans surrender Congress's constitutional power in order to allow MAGA extremists and conspiracy theorists to continue. We know that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle are just as outraged as we are, but they have to keep quiet out of fear of retribution from the MAGA extremists. We only need 3 Republicans with the courage of their convictions to join our efforts to protect the American people from this extreme and illegal overreach. Today, they're illegally gutting USAID, which prevents China and other adversaries from expanding their influence. But tomorrow, it's your health insurance. The next day, it's your mother's Social Security check. This is not what the American people voted for. The Taxpayer Data Protection Act will rein in the corruption we're seeing at the White House and put an end to this chaos. Turn it over to Leader Jeffries.
On-topic questions? Yeah, it's our expectation that Leader Schumer and Senate Democrats will introduce a companion bill shortly. We believe that the unlawful access to sensitive and financial information for hardworking American taxpayers has to be stopped. And we know here in the House, unfortunately, that the House Republican leadership has demonstrated no interest in reining in this out-of-control behavior. Here in the House, all it takes are 3 Republicans to join with us to protect the American people. We will continue to use the congressional arena as well as the litigation arena and the mobilization arena to push back against the far-right extremism that we are seeing across the board from this administration and from House Republicans. We will introduce legislation. We will move that legislation aggressively. We will work through the court system, and we will continue to communicate to the American people about what's happening, why it's happening, and why the promises that were made by Republicans to lower the high cost of living aren't being kept. This is day 18 of this new administration. Not a single bill, not a single idea, not a single initiative to lower the high cost of living. Housing costs in America are too high. Child care costs are too high. Grocery costs are too high. Utility costs are too high. And insurance costs are too high. We've seen nothing from House Republicans, nothing from the administration. They told the American people one thing and they're doing another. And they're not even stepping in to protect the best interests of the American people, which is why Taxpayer Data Protection Act is so urgently needed. It's a great question. I'm going to yield to
Well, certainly we need that answer, but we know that we need the protection. This is uncharted, unprecedented ground. I'm telling you as a former Treasury person, I mean, I was there during an actual crisis, not a self-inflicted crisis. We need the answer to why he's doing it. We need our legislation. We need this Taxpayer Data Protection Act. This is unbelievable lawlessness. We've always had this trust between the House, the Senate, the presidency, and then in comes this executive order that seemingly has allowed this individual to go into the Fiscal Bureau of the United States of America and say that he has your information. While people are struggling to pay the bills. Let's be honest, as the leader just said. So, yes, all they need to do is we got to have 3 join us and get this bill passed. And by the way, my friends, the first Friday of this month is tomorrow. Jobs numbers are coming out. We didn't see a slip for the last 4 years.
just talk about what I'm truly afraid of. I'm saying what's happening. To give some context, I was talking with one of my Republican colleagues and friends not long ago, and I said, what would it take for you to stand up to Donald Trump? And the immediate answer was, how'd that work out for Adam Kinzinger? There's a deep fear of what a bully would. All my dad taught me was on the playground, never start a fight, but if the bully punches you, punch him back harder. Because that keeps you from coming back. Bullies are cowards. So what am I afraid of? That they are going to use data that they are legally not allowed to use to act as a bully. So what does that mean for my home state of Illinois, where our Governor Pritzker has been if they take control of the stop payments, does Illinois all of a sudden they can't reimburse the money? What does it do we've already seen him take security details away from Liz Cheney. Right? While releasing people who attack cops out into the public. If they're willing to do that and threaten that, what might they do to someone who's on a fixed income but has the strength of their convictions? What they know is that every time we have faced crises like these in our history, inevitably the movements that have toppled tyranny have been led by people who have gotten to the point where they had nothing left to lose. The Parkland students who survived, the Mamie Tills of the world. Right? If they can find those people who have almost nothing left to lose and say, well, I'm going to cut off your Social Security payments if you step up. I'm going to cut off your veterans benefit payments. I'm going to cut off your SNAP payments. This is despotism, right? And I think a part of our message to everybody is that fear is contagious, but so is courage. And we want to make sure that people have the courage and the strength of their convictions and hope that what we're showing now maybe spreads to a few folks.
We're going to explore all legislative options available to us. We know that this legislation needs to move and needs to move with urgency to protect the best interests of the American people. And all it takes are 3 Republicans. Only 3 to work with us to figure out the legislative vehicle to get this done in the House of Representatives. That's a hypothetical. Lawyers are working through those dynamics. That's always a question that litigants have to confront and be prepared for. But we've seen the Article 3 federal court system hold today, and it's my expectation that the judiciary will continue to hold the line in the best interest of the American people, as will House Democrats in the United States Congress.
hatogo ayesiga akatandika naka restaurant ya shishora rent ya rugum makoko tinga jurra ganyo watu mukabili ya hangu makoko ya paisa ameza abiri uzinde sente yagure nko kwemwe yagure utoke bibiri yagure okya na tubarra mbona turra o milioni ati ya milioni 13 konkani zikira maboko bahateze intuneza ina hazo nkazo mwesente nyingi hata bere no mbibayaza kudisente aguzerenya nao ati noreba aha bintu byose mushanju we akozereho bibiri koko net ibyatandikira koko yatandikira kubaki empunu net uriyo tumitwine nshaka nabo owa kisoro ainet omuntu mushanju akozero kimwe cyo ko katene n'urutoki oriyo ndijo otushangire kurya no izina rye warabanje wabaye Obadia agampurro omukazi umushita agampurra wakatandika n'enkoko atumwe n'enkoko zirigera mu mpuru so atumwe nimbasa kutera ekishushani amaka bwakukora byona birya mushanju ngo kandi abona nibakorera ahafunzire nawe icyo nimbashima hati nushutabiremo kushimuka abantu batanga kureba icyo ko batambira mu rwana sentezo aho kanjuje ko tuzohereza buri mwaka tuzohereza miliyoni 100 amako wa imyaka 2 uwa gashatu ababanize kutunga nibashashura mbona murukano ate umyaka 3 mbamwe miliyoni 300 umwaka wa gashatu no kwa kane kwa gatano umwaka gona exchange mbwene enchoro ya government imyaka 5 mbamwe miliyoni 500 ezikorwa mu government bushya mutamana miliyoni 300 ezabantu bagarura nikugira ngo murukano mbamwe miliyoni 800 amuru gumwa twagire enchuri ibiri za government 2 times umurukano bwo wine bank ya billion emwe n'ubukekuru nkaga mbwenaho esente zenezanyi tizigarika mu government situkuzetingi nezanyi meko murare bari kuzandamu manyango na zandom byanyu muzurwaneho murebe ngo banki yanyu yegomorora yomuruka yakura no mwisho government nesa kongera sente ze abokato nimuguruza okugegahara ni mangu mwine social needs arokurwara arokushomesa arogindi byetengo ate sente tizo gukora ibyo tizo kurwaza tizo kushomesa tizo kushwera neza okugegahara beto mwisho tubaza kutonesha wendijo nayo ya social needs iyomuruka yes iyomuruka tubaza kutonesha wendijo ya ebizu by'abantu ngo bahati katwanje tutanyiki rero hata nimuje ko rugomba money lenders rero ko kompa miliyoni 75 nkaga basharaho 20% za NRM account ya mama bataho 2.7 million imyaka yasha tukenera mukaga nizonkorera ubokuya ari mu government ari mu sente tingese zibanye zikungase intezange tinyine ikwenda sente zanyu tingete gwa sente zanyu konka mutahanisha so abantu abo konka ko hajya ntungamo ninde abantu bitu bari mu naku kane sizindi zitunguye ati nyenda ngune ngo mutunguke mushenka bari abande amahanga gandi alfabenshoma mashono history geography director shomo shanga America Canada industrial revolution agrarian revolution abantu bakaba so mbona ati na tanka kushemera romu ukureba mu tanka kurbeyo mpora mbona ati nyango munyeze sente shawo yaye sente zinezanyi mbona hapo kwa na ikaha wa yasiga naza kumhereza miliyoni 10 mutwereho n'umcyara we zibahereza mpeze nawe mureke kumugirira hari nabo kuba akozere kirungi na okuno kumushima abana abahingi n'abarisha 11 muje bahereze miliyoni 1 mwemerera mwemerera jyayo bakubareba Menanuru ringgit. Kale mwiroko mshtami. Hato wa muheru ero siwanu tiagamba konke kongera inazo ero siwanu muhereza pikipiki yo kugenderaho bamumpere miliyoni 6 kana shanga arumuharangiyo. Okay. Kale mwebale twabasibura mwebale tujye kutura utwine bingi byo gukora
mutero mungaro munonga President Webale Munonga Kana Mama, Your Excellency, for the historical event abebezi batawulikansaha bari benango batezeni wekishwanyi kandi nabe bemezibaha barya Webale Munonga kufikiriza Your Excellency Webale Munonga hamwe na Your Excellency tunahona n'eminyeto umunyeto nguri kukurira umujya National Council Brenda kandi Webale no kumuhezo umurimo na warya Webale Munonga mwije abantu banyamirama mwije Nyamirama Council hamwe na sub county hamwe na district councillors
MPs mission, MPs, the national leaders, Nakau,
Museveni.
Rule 73. Rule 73, the committee proposes that it is amended in sub-rule 2.
There is a procedural matter from Bukunja.
Yeah. Madam Chair.
You first cool down. Now you're smiling. You can talk.
Madam Chair, I thought that since we are amending these rules and they take some time, we needed to reflect a lot on some of those issues that we want these rules to cure. And I wanted to bring to your attention something that had taken me to the Rules Committee, and I am mentioned as one of the people who had a dean memoranda, and I had discussed with the chair on how to bring this matter to your attention. The matter concerns the acceptance of people, members to speak, to access, to have your attention in speaking, because this is a democratic space where majorities and minorities are present. And I had a feeling that I needed to have an amendment to the rules to ensure that all shades of opinion in this parliament be heard on a subject matter under debate, so that it is the speaker ensures purposely. I wanted to get the attention of the speaker. Yes, on Rule 70. That is why I wanted to raise this procedural matter on Rule 70, which we are surpassing. Yet I had recommended a Part C that, subject to sub-rule B above, the Speaker shall ensure that the position of all shades of opinion represented in Parliament as are heard on any subject matter under debate. Justification was that Parliament is a democratic space in which the majority and minority coexist and in which all positions need to be heard. That's what I wanted to bring to your attention, Madam Chairperson.
Chair, indeed the member was entertained the committee and his opinion was heard and considered, but the committee was of the view that once we're in Parliament, we cease to look at ourselves as people coming from our respective parties, but we have the people in government and the people in opposition. The proposal of the colleague is that the Speaker would call, can we hear from DP? Can we hear from FDC? Can we from, that's his proposal. But we thought that once we are here, we would hear from opposition and the ruling party.
Honorable members, Rule 70, time and manner of speaking. A member desiring to speak shall, in the case of a member physically present in the chamber, raise and face the chair of the Speaker, or in the case of a member virtually present in the House, raise his hand or her hands up, and shall not speak until he or she catches the eyes of the Speaker. Now, honorable members, you want me to start saying, no, we have shades of opinion. Shades of opinion, there is opposition, a ruling party, PWDs, military, independent, youth, elderly, women, honor. And if they have not stood up to catch my eye, you get it, eh? Is there any time that we don't pick a person and we remain without nobody talking? There's no time that you don't. Maybe let's hear from the chairman where he didn't make. No, just a minute.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Chair, we address our mind to the proposal by the Honorable Dr. Lulu. Unfortunately, we couldn't agree with him. There are only two sides reflected, either in the Constitution or in the Administration of Parliamentary Act or even in our rules. That is both sides of the House. No. You see, this thing called independent, we should also, every independent here, I am one, but I'm independent from another independent person. We are not in any lump together, only that we came on individual merit. So the only two sides. So we didn't appreciate the point raised by the Honor. Like, I think these rules sufficiently cover everybody interested, and there is no mischief intended to be cured by that proposal.
Madam Chair.
I said you don't access a microphone before I give it to you. Can we first go to the next rule?
Rule 73.
Did we put the question? Okay, ma. Did you put the question?
Yes, I did on AG.
Rule 73. Right Honorable Chair, it's the proposal of the committee that Rule 73 is amended in sub-rules 2 and 5 by inserting the phrase of chairperson of a committee immediately after the word speaker. Justification. To empower chairpersons of the committees to determine matters of sub judice that arises in their respective committees. Because when a matter is sub judice and there is a presiding chairperson, he should be able to determine it, not to adjourn the committee, then you run to the office of the speaker, or you write the speaker until you get a reply. And there is also another process in case somebody is dissatisfied with the decision of the chair.
Because the chair has delegated powers, and the chairman should actually not wait for the speaker to determine whether it is sub judice. So you should be able to act other than saying, let me wait for the speaker. AG, is that okay with you? Aisha, you okay?
I agree.
There was consensus.
I put a question that Rule 73 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Rule 78.
Madam Chair, Rule 78 is substituted for the following: interruption of debate. 1. Debate may be interrupted, 1A, by a member of privilege suddenly arising, by a point of order, by a matter of privilege suddenly arising, by a point of order being raised, upon a point of information, elucidation, or clarification, and D, upon a point of procedure. When giving leave to interrupt the debate, the speaker shall follow the following precedents: points of privilege, points of procedure, points of order, points of information, elucidation, or clarification. A member who stands up to interrupt the debate on a point of privilege, procedure, order, information, elucidation, or clarification shall not depart from that point.
And you should also mention the rule.
I'm continuing. Insertion of new rules. The rules.
Let's finish this one first.
No, it is just coming at the end because this one it all concerns rules.
No, that's 78. A new rule. That's a new rule.
Okay. It all concerns Rule 78. So I want to go through first the whole of it. Yeah, but we are particularizing it.
That's 78A.
To appreciate it, you need for me to complete. That's when, because members are going to jump on this without knowing what is amended. Right.
We shall put 2 questions on 78 and then on the new rule.
Okay. And there's a reason. You see, Right Honourable Speaker, if we pass this one and the House has a problem with the subscript one, when you've already passed this, what happens?
Okay. You read, then we shall
Because
put
you
two
have
questions.
already passed it. Is that right?
You go through, then we shall put two questions.
Yes. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Insertion of new rules. The rules are amended by inserting immediately after Rule 78 the following. A matter may arise, that's 78A1, A is capital. A member may raise a point of privilege during debate where a breach of privilege suddenly arises. 2. Where a member raises a point of privilege, the Speaker shall make a ruling on the point of privilege. 3. The Speaker shall, in making a ruling under Sub-Rule 2, have regard to the provisions of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act. 4. Notwithstanding Sub-Rule 2, the Speaker may refer the matter raised on the point of privilege to the Committee on Rules, Privileges and Discipline. 78B. Point of order. A member may raise a point of order on unparliamentary language being used by another member or on any matter of unparliamentary conduct by another member immediately the unparliamentary language is used or the unparliamentary conduct arises. 2. Where a member rises on a point of order, the member holding the floor shall immediately resume his or her seat. 3. Where the point of order has been raised under Sub-Rule 2, no other member shall, except with the leave of the Speaker, rise until the Speaker has decided on the matter. 4. Where a member interrupts debate on a point of order, the member shall cite the rule of procedure he or she deems to have been breached by a member before subjecting the member to the Speaker's ruling. 78C. Point of information, elucidation and clarification. A member may rise on a point of information, elucidation or clarification based on a matter raised by a member holding the floor and may only proceed with the point if the member holding the floor is unwilling to take the point of information, elucidation or clarification and resume his or her seat. 2. Where a minister is holding the floor and a point of information, elucidation or clarification is raised, the minister shall not reject the point of information, elucidation or clarification more than 3 times. 78D. Point of procedure. A member may raise a point of procedure where a breach of rules arises. And members, take a note of this because this is a fundamental departure from the current status. And I repeat, a member may raise on a point of procedure where a breach of rules arises. Where a member raises on a point of procedure, the member holding the floor shall immediately resume his or her seat. Where the point of procedure has been raised under Sub-Rule 2, no other member shall, except with the leave of the Speaker, rise until the Speaker has decided on the matter. 4. Where a member interrupts debate on a point of procedure, the member shall state the rule of procedure he or she deems to have been breached by the member holding the floor or on the procedural matter he or she wishes to be ruled upon before the presiding officer makes a ruling. Justification. To clarify when a point of privilege, order, procedure, and information, elucidation, or clarification may be raised. What has been happening, colleagues? Members use point of procedure really to con the presiding office. They rise up, point of procedure, and they go into substantive debate when there is nothing procedural at all. So we are now trying to redefine. If you are to sign up on a point of procedure, please be on a point of procedure and state the exact rule. other than point of procedure, and then you go on another tangent. That's what we are seeking to clarify, Madam Chair.
Madam Speaker, you know we are discussing and we are amending.
Honourable members, you've heard Rule
Madam Speaker.
78.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, Alex. Yes.
Madam Speaker, we are just making the rules, honourable colleagues. But Madam Speaker, the way I see we running, leadership is politics. And leadership being politics, to be limited and tied not to talk by quoting every rule that every person should say, it is really trying to jeopardize.
I thought that is one of the documents that is given to you when you're being sworn in. So you ought to be knowledgeable of what role you're standing to debate
Right,
upon.
Madam Speaker, but the way the committee is bringing it is really tying our hands so that we don't have freedom of speech in the House.
You know, we need discipline in the House. Decorum. Yes, Alex. Alex, then Doug.
Right Honourable Speaker, Chair and colleagues, I am constrained also almost to go along what a colleague was talking about. You know, in legislation, colleagues, some lacunas are deliberate. It's a principle in legislation. Once you make the law, and this law is too stiff, the chances of breaking that law are very many. That's why they insist on having a malleable law, malleability, malleable, soft, so that the Speaker has a latitude to make a ruling, so that even a member feels free to make a contribution. And I think that's what I think we should be looking at. Let's not make very difficult and stiff regulations that might be misconstrued to gag members' freedom to debate.
AJ.
Madam Chair, stringent as these rules may appear, the Speaker, the presiding officer, is still at liberty to say you can speak, because she's the custodian of the rules. But these rules are placed there so that we do not abuse the process. But, Right Honourable Speaker, while I agree with the proposals, there is only one that I wish to raise a concern on. 78C. 2. The proposal in 78C2. It says where a minister is holding the floor and a point of information, elucidation, clarification is raised, the member shall not reject the point of information, elucidation. The minister shall not reject the point of information, elucidation, clarification more than 3 times. Now, that may be okay. My worry is...
Maybe you could put in succession.
Pardon?
In succession. Successive.
Okay, 3 successive times.
Yes.
Yes, but you see, my fear in this, Right Honourable Speaker, even if you put the word successive to correct it, members can deliberately decide that this minister will not speak. Yes, because if I stand, Right Honourable Speaker, Right Honourable Speaker, I need your attention on this.
Yes.
Members can conspire and say, we will not hear him out. When you speak, Naruyima says information, Lope says, I'm giving an example, elucidation, and you cannot say, so you sit down. After that, you get back, they will raise it again. Okay? So, Right Honourable Speaker, I want us to be cautious. This rule, it may fail a minister from presenting whatever he intends to present.
Honourable
Chair.
Yes, Honourable Aisha, then Honourable
you.
Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Number one, to Honourable colleagues, these provisions are actually giving us opportunity to interrupt debate, so they are not very stringent. The point that the Attorney General is very worried about is actually to hold Parliament, because the practice of some ministers has been that they will come to read statement, you ask for clarification, one will keep quiet as if he's not hearing, he will read the statement to the end and sit down. There are circumstances where members of Parliament need to be clarified on the information that the minister is giving. So that's why the provision here is saying, yes, you can decline to accept 1, 2, 3, but at least after 3, have sought, and 3 from different members, not the same member Aisha standing and say, information. If you've declined at least 3, give way for people to ask for information and clarification. It's a good thing for Parliament to be informed of what the executive is doing.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to support the position of the committee on that entire. First of all, this House, we have seen that members abuse all these points of order, procedure. Someone says procedure and they're talking about the goats somewhere. And I think the amendments are curing that. People say point of order and they go on to debate. This is curing that. Right Honourable Speaker, we all swear by these rules when we come here. There's nothing stringent about the amendments. We need to keep our house in order. Sometimes this house looks like a marketplace because people are saying order, procedure, and it has nothing to do with procedure. So, Right Honourable Speaker, I support that we have stringent because you are the custodian of the rules. If you think that I need more time to speak about something, you will allow me or another member to speak. But we can't want to water down the very rules that we swear upon when we come to this Parliament. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable members, we are talking about an orderly house, which will be productive. And that's why we are bringing these rules. And I want to make a clarification on Rule 72.2. Some people are thinking that we are infringing on the immunity, the privileges and immunity of the president. That is not correct under the Constitution. That is not correct. The precondition for the substantive motion is to ensure that there is compliance with the Constitution and any other laws of the land. We only are saying that the president should not be discussed about unless you bring a substantive motion. Honourable Kibal, have you heard? Okay.
Madam,
yes, Honourable
Madam
Minister.
Chair.
Honourable Minister, then.
Well, first of all,
come and sit here.
Madam Speaker, I would like to thank you and colleagues, Madam Chair and all colleagues. I want also to try to speak to 78.2. Honorable colleagues, at one time you will be where we are, and at one time we might be where you are. So I want first to say this. When we come here on behalf of government, specifically to address a subject matter which in my considered opinion has been directed by this August House
with the rich knowledge of information. There's a reason why I'm bringing this context. Number two, it is also true that sometimes you would like to seek for information, clarification from my presentation. I want to implore us, like the Deputy Attorney General did say, it is also true sometimes you can afford and you can afford to deliberately deny me space to address you. So I want to say this, that the question of information, first I want to go back to the main principle. What's wrong with the current existing rule of procedure which we have been having?
Honorable members.
Because it should be
Honorable members,
at my discretion.
Honorable members, let the minister finish.
It should be at the discretion of a member holding the floor.
Of the speaker.
Of the speaker holding the floor to ask.
No, the speaker.
Okay, the speaker, the chair,
yes,
and the member holding the floor to give you permission, to give you information, clarification, where applicable. But for us now to begin saying we have 3 times. Honorable Chivumbi is my good friend and many others there. They can afford deliberate to say the subject matter of Ogwang is coming to present on behalf of the Minister of Education, in my considered opinion, should not be listened to, entertained, and you can afford to frustrate it. So, Madam Speaker and Madam Chair, I really want to beg the August House that please, we come here for a purpose on behalf of government to give government business. I want to plead with you, let's maintain the existing rule as it is. I thank you.
Honourable members, what was in contention was on the issue of the minister. 3 times. You get it, eh? On 3 times. A minister on clarification, elucidation, consequent 3 times, the consecutive 3 times, the minister should be able to allow a clarification. Why don't you leave that to discretion of the speaker? Yes, leave that to the discretion of the speaker. Why are you, honourable members? Why are you over reducing the powers of the speaker?
Right, honourable chair. Right, honourable chair. The current situation, can I be heard? The current situation is that it is the discretion of the minister holding floor. And what they have done, they have consistent, some, not all of them.
In most cases, you've seen the speaker saying, Minister, please clarify. Clarify, take the information. In most cases. Yes. Yes. Hey, remove that part. Dagger. Edit. Reframe.
Right Honourable, we are proposing to say this proviso notwithstanding, okay, the minister shall, okay, I may not word it properly, but the minister shall be required to yield once.
But you people, is there somebody chairing in this house? Is there somebody chairing in this house?
Yes.
The speaker is chairing in this house.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Chair.
Even if somebody rose up on a point of information, it is a speaker to allow. So why are you pushing the whole body into the minister? Daudi, you want to say something? Honorable Minister. Internal Affairs.
Okay.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I wanted to move in unison so that we avoid an orchestrated or deliberate effort to frustrate a minister. What if
the 3 times is repeated. Should we now rest in the solace of the speaker intervening? Or we need some express provision, a proviso of sorts to say, provided the repeated interruptions don't go beyond a certain point, maybe something like that.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Chair, you know, rules are there to help us get away from reliance of the presiding officer's mood. Sometimes the presiding officer's mood could be that the person should not give way. I pray, Chair, and I beg your indulgence that you don't misunderstand me. I pray that you allow us have a role that will protect members from reliance on the speaker's mood, so that we have a role for the ministers to give way, to give us information because
Honorable
the information is necessary.
Honorable Aisha, the speaker's role here is to protect all members and ensure that there is harmony and orderly in the house. Yes, and when we are doing that, we are doing it for the good of Ugandans out there. This, yes.
Right, Honourable Speaker, every time we are making a law, including our own rules, it's because there is a mischief we are intending to cure.
What are we curing now?
Now here, in cases where a minister has refused to yield, the speaker has already said, please yield. So what is the mischief that we are trying to cure?
Can I answer that? Madam Chair, the minister is holding an office in trust. It's not about him as an individual. So when a member is seeking clarification, the speaker doesn't know what clarification is to the member who knows the clarification.
Who gives the member permission to speak?
The presiding officer does, but not until you have put the clarification. You only stand up and say clarification. And that's the only judgment you have to use. But the substance of the clarification is the member raising it, who knows? So if you just stop him without you as a presiding officer even knowing, that's what they put you in a difficult position. Because, Right Honourable Speaker, let me make my point. Right Honourable Speaker, this has nothing to do with the presiding officer's powers. Why? When a member stands up on a point of clarification, he does not go ahead until the speaker has given him the audience. You will not hear the clarification, you as a minister, until it has been put on the floor. But if you consistently say no, and somebody is seeking clarification, because they are not asking about the Honourable Kafos, they are talking about clarification from the Attorney General.
Honourable members, I don't see anything we are curing. In the circumstance that a rule is not provided for, we shall apply Rule 8. So can we have that part of...
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Hassan, after that,
you,
Hassan.
Madam Chair. I think whatever we're discussing about, anything touching the powers of the Speaker should be disregarded. Yes. Madam Chair?
Yes, I'm listening.
Any discussion regarding the powers of the Speaker should be disregarded, because the Speaker must maintain the power he or she holds. No. I'm being honest. Because we shall not cure anything.
I have not given you to talk. Chair, I have not given you to talk. Sit.
Thank you, Right Honourable.
Thank you. Haji.
Thank you, Chair.
Honourable members, let's listen. Not Haji Noah, but Haji Hassan.
Madam Chair, the fact that the front bench is worried about the insertion of that particular rule is problematic in itself. Points of clarification and elucidations rise because members want the minister to clarify on that particular matter. Now, deleting it and shying away from it means that we are leaving the members out of debate that is happening at that particular time in the House. Madam Chair, we know we legislate for our people, and rules are rules. We have to respect rules, else we are savages. So my application on that rule, Madam Chair, is to allow the chair proceed with the rule the way it is, because it's going to allow the members to come in that particular debate. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We've been making rules in good faith. Ever since we started amending rules, we've been amending them in good faith. But when you look at this sub-rule, the ministers are saying, no, let's remove it. The other side are saying, let it remain. Why don't we delete this so that we keep what we have been using as Parliament? Because we have to amend these rules in good faith so that we maintain the good faith. Thank you.
Yes, Itungo, then Moses. Honorable members, if you raise up and then Santa, from Oishchiba, order, how can you two men come in front of the speaker?
Madam Chair, the chair is in the meeting, but okay, I want to bring to your attention Rule 70, which you have just read, and specifically the last paragraph. The last paragraph we are saying that a member shall not speak until he or she catches the speaker's eye. Now, if the rule is already there, why do you want a person to raise a point of information or procedure without the eye of the speaker? So,
no. Can I give information?
Chair, you need different views on this.
Moses.
He has
Madam Chair, looking at that law, for me, I think I would not have a problem. But where the problem arises is the 3 times. My question now, 3 times by who? By an individual member who is standing to ask for clarification, or for members? Or the 3 members?
3 times. 3 times, yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I wanted to seek clarification again, maybe from the Attorney General or the Chair, because what if members conspire, like 10 of them or 20, from either side, opposition or NRM side, and they are deliberately doing that to fail a minister? Because the rules here dictate that maybe, unless the speaker is not allowed, but after the minister's presentation, members will debate. What if something that you have not
the minister has not brought out well, you note it down and you bring it out in the debate. Because many members are going to conspire here, order 20 of them, and you fail the minister. Can't we do
Madam
that
Chair.
in a debate?
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Honorable Mpuga.
Macho Black, Right Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, we first of all take exception to the submission of the Honorable Ngopek, who was trying to incite the Speaker by way of his submission, that the Speaker can reject members' submission on this subject matter. But that said, tongue in cheek, we are trying to do two things, Honorable Speaker, with this amendment. One is to May I proceed, Honorable Speaker and Chair? Thank you. I was trying to say that we are trying to deal with two principal issues here. One, access to the microphone and the power of legislation. Two, the doctrine of separation of powers. This is a space for members to legislate and represent their constituencies. And for the ministers, it's space for accountability. And therefore, the amendment, if I understood the chairperson well and the committee's intentions, is to try and cement the power of members to demand for accountability from ministers, and therefore there should be no denial. We have been here, and ministers are denying clarification, and then they take leave and even take flight. Chair. And when that happens, you constrain the whole intention of legislation and representation. The Speaker, under the rules, will be at latitude to even say, I have ordered that this matter takes leave. That power cannot be taken away from the Speaker by this rule. That's why I took exception to the submission of the Honorable Ngopek, who was trying to incite you, as if this rule has eyes.
Nobody has incited me.
Of course, I saw him, Honorable Speaker, but of course you were smart to...
Nobody has incited me, but I'm also telling you, much as even if you stand 10 times, but if the Speaker has not given you time to speak, will you speak?
Exactly, that's why.
But at the same time, if somebody is standing up on a point on clarification, I have seen so many times ministers not wanting clarification, but the presiding officer says, clarify, take it, give way. Why are you abusing that?
So, Chair, it's just because...
But clarification, all we want is let the member seek for a clarification.
That's my point, Right Honorable Speaker, and I think they are getting away with not accounting for the actions.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Chair. Madam Chair, you are the custodian of the rules that we are making. And here is a problem that sometimes members want clarifications from the ministers. And sometimes it's very important matters that needs clarification even on the ground. But the minister might deliberately fail. So, Madam Chair, being the custodian of the rules that we are making, I think this is a very simple matter. Any point of interruptions must go through the Speaker. And you know the interest of your members that they want clarification. So if it's through the Speaker, I see no way how a minister can consistently and repeatedly refuse to deny the point of interruption, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Madam Speaker, we have seen situations here in this House where members have sought clarification only once, and you have allowed a member to ask the minister, and ministers have given way. Of course, we also have ministers who fear to respond to questions from members. But with your discretionary powers, we have seen situations where you have allowed members here to raise their matters to the ministers. Just like point of procedure, just like order, it is at the discretion of the Speaker. So my humble view is that the way it is, and members also, the ministers, should be able to give way. Why do you fear to respond to our clarifications? Thank you very much.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair. Madam Chair, with your leave, we've just observed that we are still having problems of the Electoral Commission because when the minister was here to present, we asked for clarification and the minister did not grant us that option to clarify on those matters. So up to this day, the problem still exists. We haven't got solutions, whereas the minister came and presented a statement, then later on he left. So when we want clarification...
Honor, I have not even heard one word you say.
Apologies.
So can I have Doug?
Right Honourable Speaker, considering the many different views we have on this, and for avoidance of clogging the system going forward, I move that the proposed amendment under Rule 78C2 be deleted.
Chair.
Right Honourable Chair, I'm going to respond to the request of the Attorney General. But before I do that, I have to say this. Sometimes the reason why people have been jumping, or colleagues have been raising point of procedure, whereas they are not point of procedure, or even order when it is not, is because they are afraid to get the clarification. So they move around and they say procedure. Moreover, it is not procedure at all. But having said that, I hope the executive has picked the lesson that members want the clarification. And if you continue behaving the way you are, we shall bring the amendment again. As of now, for peace, let us consider that particularly. But if you do continue behaving like it has been, we shall be back with that amendment. I concede right on.
Thank you. Honourable members, I put a question that Rule 78, with its attendant amendments, as proposed by the committee and modified by Doug, be approved by this Honourable House. Those in favour say on the contrary, nay. Let's have it.
Rule 82.
82.
Right Honourable Speaker, the committee proposes the following amendment. In Sub-Rule 1 and A, in Sub-Rule 1, by inserting immediately after the word shirt, the words cravat and flaps. B, the other time I tried to explain to colleagues what cravats and flaps are. The presiding officer now is putting on a cravat. The flaps are those which are distinct from the cravat. B, by deleting sub-rule 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2, in sub-rule 1A, by substituting for sub-paragraph 2 the following: decent dress with sleeves or dress with jacket. B, by substituting for paragraph 3 the following: decent blouse with sleeves and decent skirt or decent trouser, or decent blouse with jacket and decent skirt or decent trouser. C, by deleting sub-paragraph 4. 3, by inserting immediately after sub-rule to the following: a member attending House or committee meeting who does not adhere to the dress code prescribed in sub-rule 1A shall be cited for being out of order, and the presiding officer shall order the member to withdraw immediately from the House or committee and return when dressed in accordance with the rules. 4, for purposes of this rule, Decent means dressing in a manner that is socially acceptable and generally considered to be smart, good, reasonable, and portrays a good image of Parliament. Justification: to maintain decorum and dignity of Parliament. But I'll do some explanation on the justification. Honourable colleagues, members of Parliament should be an inspiration to the public. The way we speak and the way we dress and the way we conduct ourselves. We cannot have a house and it's like a market. People come dressed in all manner of curtain materials. And we have a problem, Right Honourable Speaker. We know the work, the very good work done, for example, by our staff, the doorkeepers. They are very, very good members of staff. But sometimes a member walks in like a doorkeeper. You don't know whether is this a doorkeeper or this is a member of Parliament. 3, colleagues, sometimes our staff are smarter than the MPs. So it is in pursuit of decorum, of respect, and the way we conduct ourselves. We should not only be MPs but appear to be members of Parliament. And that's why we are proposing this. Right Honourable Speaker, you've got this thing called, is it Mandela shirts? Everybody walks in here and so without mentioning individual names, I think it is time to look in our rules such that we give that impression, that image of what a member of Parliament should be. And this is not too much to ask, honourable colleagues. For those of you who are professionals, everybody knows that, for example, the lawyers, they know how they dress in courts of law. Doctors, even nurses, they dress in a particular way to, 1, distinguish them from their patients. Lastly, about the UPDF. 1, the membership of the UPDF in this House is constitutional. Nobody should think that this rule in any way touches the status of members of the UPDF in this House. That's number 1. Number 2, I've heard people say that we are banning UPDF uniform from the House. Far from the truth. No person in his sane, sound mind can do that, because certainly it will be unconstitutional. However, just look at the member of the UPDF currently seated in this House. Extremely smart. Just look at them. They're extremely smart. And there is also another pair of uniform which they use. They have something like a khaki. The upper one is like a plain khaki, but it's also plain. And then they put in something green. It is sort of ceremony, I think. I don't know how they call it. But it is some khaki shirt up. Smart. And in any case, the UPD officers here should be identified sometimes by their own ranks. So they cannot come here dressed in civilian uniform. We would like them to come here, if they so wish, in their uniform. Then I can say Kano Nekesa, I can say Jeno Mujira, because their ranks are on their shoulders and they can only be in uniform. However, we have one exception, which we are proposing, that our UPDF officer should not put combat uniform when they are in the House. They must door. Why? Because ordinarily, right?
Continue.
If you can save
please continue.
This House from Onongongpek. Because generally, these are supposed to be, for example, like a combat materials or uniforms, or even if they are dressed in their own camouflage, or even in their own barracks and so on, that is okay. But when you are here, like we are prescribing a dress code for members of parliament, even us, we are not allowed to come here dressed as the way we wish. But we are saying in the rules we should dress this way. So we do request that the UPDF officers dress formally, smartly, like we see them now. We have no objection. Madam Chair, I beg to move.
No, there is a minority. There is a minority. Minority.
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable, can I first ask a question before you hear the minority? Assuming somebody, say on Fridays, puts on a council and a court, is that acceptable or not?
Right, Honourable Speaker, since we released this report, we have had a number of interactions with colleagues. And one issue that has been pertinent is about the council.
And a court.
The council. And we sort of have a consensus that on that one we are going to concede.
A council and a court.
Yes, and a court.
Yes.
And a court. On that one we are ready to concede.
Chair.
Yes.
Chair, I am Right Honourable Chair. I'm happy to hear my chairman saying he's intending to concede on that, because it was a matter before the committee and there was a bit of disagreement. So I disagree with the removal of kanzu and jacket. That one I disagree. I propose that we remove the military attire, and the argument is clear. Military attire. That is 6. That is 8216 military attire for members of the armed forces. How wish members would listen. You ask which one.
Honourable members, you listen. First listen.
So, Right Honourable Speaker, to me and to many of us, do not understand the variance of those military attires. The military attire is a military attire. To us, this is a civilian space. Military attires are very intimidative. Actually, the pips my colleague is arguing for, that's important that we get to see the pips. Actually, that intimidates people more. When you hear someone is a general, you may kind of subdue some people because of the pips. So my argument is, Right Honourable Chair, that military attires should not be a space for Parliament. They should come here as colleagues, dressed in their civilian wear. Important to know, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes, members, first listen to her point of dissent. We are listening to the point of dissent.
Right Honourable Speaker, we all come from different professions. You know, even lawyers have a style of wearing. They're not going to come with their clothing here as lawyers. And doctors have their style. So we recognize that we all come from different professions, and as we enter Parliament, we leave our professions out, and we enter Parliament as representatives of people. So I recommend that military attire be removed for both men and women. I recommend that we should insert on the female wear, we insert hijab as an acceptable wear for women members of Parliament, and leave on kanzu and coat.
What hijab is what you're putting on? Yes, we have not said you are removing that, Hajat.
Right Honourable Speaker, a hijab is not in our rules as of now, and a hijab is surviving.
So we are inserting
I wish
hijab.
The love master would listen. And Right Honourable Speaker, a hijab currently is surviving on allowance of traditional wear. Okay? Now, when you delete traditional wear, a hijab will have no room. So unless we leave their traditional wear, or we insert hijab as unacceptable wear for Muslim women in this Parliament.
Hajat. one we've accepted, we insert a council with a court. Okay? Then the hijab.
Madam Chair.
Wait, honorable members, I just want to make a clarification. We have a hijab for a religious aspect. We have a council with a trouser inside. Don't come without a trouser. And a coat. Yes? Wait.
Right Honourable Speaker, as you deliberate on this issue of councils, we need to specify that there should be a long trouser inside the council. Because it has happened here before. I don't want to go into detail.
Honourable members, I want to first of all commend the UPDF that we have in this house. I think we have the most disciplined UPDF in this house. The most disciplined. At times I even forget that they belong to UPDF. The UPDF that you have here. And secondly, that uniform they are putting on is official uniform. It is not gazetted. It is not the other Madoa. That is the one we are saying we don't want. But this one, this is like the one we put on in Chankwans. And let me hear from General.
Right Honourable Speaker, I want to, with due respect, debunk what the Honourable Kawanda submitted, that this is for civilians and we have to put on civilian attire. We are a constituency known to the Constitution, for your information. So we have to be identified as
they are
such.
elected here as UPDF.
And the only identifier is uniform. Now the detail of what uniform is suitable for this environment is what we are talking about. I agree the camouflage uniform is for combat. We have number one, the red tunic for the army, and then the blue for the Air Force and the other services. This one is number two for its work dress. So maybe if the committee agrees and Parliament agrees, we can approve number two for purposes of Parliament.
Thank you, Daudi.
And we have no objection at all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honourable members, I am part of the Gomesi team.
Right, Madam Chair, we concede on the Gomez.
Yes.
Why?
Honourable Daudi.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Chair, Right Honourable Speaker, I would request that
Honourable members, can we have some order?
the Chair suggests that a member attending House or committee meeting who does not adhere to the dress code prescribed in Sub-Rule 1 shall be cited for being out of order. Right Honourable Speaker, I would also request that we insert in a member attending House physically and virtually, because we have seen members here on Zoom.
Honourable members, let me first say, honourable members, one time somebody was voting on Zoom and the person, I don't say.
Honourable Chair, I concede to the Honourable Kabanda's
Thank you. Yes, Honourable Rone. Honourable Rone.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, this parliament is in Africa. Madam Chair, I'm one of the people who respect African culture. Madam Chair, it will be unfair. The UPDF have been accepted. The other side has been accepted. Then you chase away the African way, and I'm smart in right now. People like Macho, very smart in the African way. People like that man, very smart in the African way. So I request African way to be accepted. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Let me first have a Bwalu. Okay.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I wanted to inform Honorable Orone that African wear is not defined. You can even bring here a back cross, which we call Orubugo. So, I have never seen you in a back cross. I think we should not accept that, right, Honorable Speaker.
Asuman, Honorable Asuman, go back where you're sitting. Go back. Go back.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honorable.
Madam Speaker, we have seen members walk into this house just because of the African wear or traditional wear. Like some of them walk into this house with blouses. That's because it is traditional wear. Madam Speaker, I want to implore our members that the chairman of the committee has done a commendable job. And these people want to hide, putting on is it kaunda, is it what? That must be banned. Let me conclude. No. Madam Speaker, just like the chairman said, order, you will be thrown out.
Hanifa.
Just like the chairman said, we must inspire people out there who are watching us. Before I came to this parliament, I used to watch the likes of Abudu Katuntu, the likes of Okupa, the likes of Okule Park, the likes of what, how they dress. I started dressing like that. Madam Speaker, we must inspire people who are out there. If you don't want to put on a suit like this, you go back to Utoroma wear. But we must put on suits.
Madam Speaker,
Yes. Can you withdraw the word Toroma? Ebwalu.
Madam Speaker.
Ebwalu, withdraw the word Toroma. That's a
Madam Speaker, I withdraw. If I don't want to put on a suit, let me go back to Soroti. I withdraw.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay. I withdraw Toroma.
Madam Speaker, first of all, colleagues, I want to thank my brother, Honorable Rone, for raising an issue on African wear. We can all go back to our wardrobes, and I want to confirm, I Speaking has quite a number of African wears. And I want to say the following as I debate on this subject matter. First, I support the proposal by the committee. Friends, we must be sincere to ourselves. This is the National Assembly of the Republic of Uganda. It is even wrong for us to begin comparing African wear to the UPDF uniform. Please, the UPDF is our national army, and they also have a designated uniform for these specific functions, like the way General has just stated it here. So for us to come here and begin imputing and trying to compare an African wear with a back cloth, friends, Madam Speaker, with due respect, I always admire the LOP. The LOP has never come here in an African wear, but I like him whenever he's out there, he's on African wear doing his normal duties. So can we take our African wears for our constituency work to continue being African? But for purposes of this National Assembly, I want to implore us.